All right, good. I will.
Abalaji doesn't look too tired for a new dad. That's impressive. That's really good. Keep that up.
I am doing my best to keep it all together. Yes, yes. All right. I am just waiting for more folks to join in and then we get started. Okay. Just gonna make a few changes here as well. BC, how's the weather at your place over there?
It's cloudy, gloomy.
Okay.
Cloudy and gloomy. No
Yeah, okay.
sunshine. The sun is trying to break the cloud though. Maybe in the next 2 or 3 hours, it might finally break out. So
Yeah, we have a bit of some sunshine at the same time cloudy. So it's like I feel like it's a mixed weather.
yeah.
All right, so I think everyone is back here. I am going to fire up some streams. So before we get started, okay, I'll just go to allow maybe 2 minutes before we kick off. So please just allow 2 minutes before we kick off the session.
This becomes a habit. We need to get one of those little white light rings that sits above your, it bathes you in the perfect soft light.
I know. Okay. Just have 1 more minute to start and then get started.
Do you want us to remain on mute unless you're firing questions at us? Would that be easier, or what are you thinking?
I think it's fine as long as you don't have a lot of noise coming in from your end.
You're coming across clear to me. If you hear anything echoey from me, please let me know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that should be fine. As long as you don't have a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Because I also want to make it as interactive as possible. So keeping it open for people to for other panelists to chime in where possible.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome. Okay. We are.
I reckon I'll mute myself unless I have to talk, just in case.
Okay,
from my side. Yeah.
That's fine. And again, this is a conversation. I feel like anyone is allowed to chime in, but I might have also throw specific questions to different persons on the call. All right. So thank you all for joining. Hello everyone. My name is Abolaji Omitogun. I am the COO of 10TV. 10TV is a media platform that caters to the African and Black matter cultural diaspora here in the United States and of course around the world. I also want to appreciate everyone for joining the call, joining our panel conversation for today on the future of international money transfer, focusing on fintech and blockchain and their role in fostering US-African trade investment and of course economic development. As you all know, the market for international money transfer has been growing considerably. The CAGR of about 10% since 2000. About $530 billion has been transferred each year, costing an average of 7.21% to send money abroad. Once dismissed and doubted, blockchain is now driving a shift in the world of finance. JP Morgan recently announced that they've executed about $300 billion in transaction using their JPM chain coin. recently. That's from June when they kicked off to this from when they kicked off to June this year. So I just wanted again just to say thank you all for joining this panel conversation, which is proudly hosted by our sponsor Orokii, fintech and blockchain company for peer-to-peer and B2B payment solutions. Orokii is a US-based blockchain fintech company that provides P2P and B2B payment solutions that enable individuals, users, and businesses to send money nationally and internationally. Users can send money using Orokii mobile or web app at significantly low fees, quick delivery time, low transaction fees, and of course, timely delivery, ensuring financial inclusion. Our panelists today are CEO BC Adedokun. BC is the founder and CEO of Orokii. Before joining Orokii, BC worked at Deutsche Bank for 7 years in the technology and security organization, helping the bank to protect its assets from adversaries. And then we also have Mike Tetu, who's also the COO for Orokii. Mike brings a wealth of experience in strategic and tactical operations after 28 years in the US Army career. Mike has served as the Chief Operation Officer for Prestio in NATO operations and plans officer and battalion commander, of course, the CEO. And also we do have amongst us Seyi Olugbemi, Seyi Oluwaseyi Oluakin Olugbemi, CEO of MyCobo. So MyCobo is the issuer of the EURC stablecoin, the first euro-based stablecoin pegged one-to-one to the euro on Stellar. MyCobo connects the European financial infrastructure with the blockchain using Stellar network. Of course, they also enable fast, secure, and low-cost cross-border payments. Thank you all for joining the call. My special panelists, it's been a privilege and an honor really just having this conversation with you on the future of fintech. So I would like to just delve in directly into some of our questions for today. As you all know, blockchain technology is pretty popular, but I would like to start with Seyi on really helping us to really understand what it means, what blockchain really means in the layman's term. And really helping us understand blockchain and cryptocurrency, because I do understand that sometimes being convoluted together.
Wow, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. That is a loaded question you ask to explain what blockchain is and what the difference is. I'll try to summarize and provide a very simple answer. Essentially, blockchain involves a means of having a less centralized network. That's the easiest way to think about it. Having a less centralized network means that I can deal with you or anyone else in a very public and what we like to call permissionless environment. I don't need any other sort of permissions in order for us to communicate. So it's also meant to be quite public. On top of that, you then layer things like stable coins, which are very different to typical cryptocurrencies in that they're not volatile and tend to be pegged one-to-one with another asset, which could be a fiat asset like a central bank issued currency like a euro or dollar, or indeed other sorts of real world assets. There's some stable coins that are pegged to gold, for example. Whereas the cryptocurrency generally is a digital asset, and the value of which is determined by the price someone pays, as opposed to an intrinsic value, such as a value of gold or the value of a particular central bank issued currency, which we call fiat. So in a nutshell, that's actually what blockchain is and how it differs from the concept of cryptocurrencies. Blockchain is the network itself, and a stable coin or cryptocurrency is an asset that works on that network.
I think I like how you phrased it, the last part of it. The blockchain is the network itself. Crypto or stablecoin are just part of that network that allows you to use
Precisely.
transactions. So pretty interesting.
We could expand on this, but of course we only have a limited amount of time.
Yes, yes. But thanks again for helping us set the pace for us. Some of the conversation we'll be having today.
Thank you.
The financial transaction landscape is being revolutionized. With blockchain technology at its core. The innovation is reshaping how we manage cross-border money transfers, eliminating the lengthy processing time, the fees, some of the security concerns that we have. And given the topic of today's conversation, what's the future of international money transfer or even cross-border payments in general? I would like you, BC, and any of you can also chime in to help us really understand some of the trends shaping or even likely to shape the future. And what does this particularly mean for the ordinary person, right? What is the future of international money transfer, or how are you seeing that future? How is it? What are the trends you're seeing? And then what are some of the things that you really just can highlight or share with us?
Yeah, thank you, Abolaji, and thanks for the warm introduction. Really appreciate that. My name is Bisi Adedokun, and as Bolaji mentioned earlier, I'm the founder and CEO of Orokii. To get to your questions, blockchain is making an impact in the money remittances or money transfer space. And the major reason why a lot of institutions and a lot of companies are actually looking to embrace blockchain as a payment rail or as a vehicle to move money around the globe is because of what Sheyi mentioned earlier before, right? It's for the public blockchain network is permissionless, meaning that anyone can actually transact business on that network without being authorized to do so, right? So there is no gates, there's no man in the middle, or there is no gates person that is manning the gates and determine who can do what and who cannot do what, right? So that is one of the beauty of the blockchain network. And because of elimination of what we call the intermediation, right? So intermediation is what most of the money transmitter operators have to deal with, meaning that you have to go through multiple intermediations in terms of banks, right? So we can call them corresponding banks, right? So in the normal money transmitter operations or money transmitter organizations payment rail, they use a lot of intermediation, meaning that they use a lot of corresponding banks to be able to transact money, to move money from point A to point B. You have a whole bunch of intermediation that has to happen in the form of corresponding banks. So what blockchain has been able to do is to eliminate most of those, jumps that you have to go through. All those intermediation, you can eliminate that. So what you need to worry about is what we call the last mile. Who's going to deliver the payment in the last mile? So all your transaction can take place without having to have all these intermediations. And what you need to now worry about is if I'm transferring, if I'm making a transaction or moving money from point A to point B, I can successfully move that money from point A to point B without involving any intermediation, right? Any intermediary in between. And all I need to worry about is the last leg, right? Who's going to finally deliver that payment to the recipients? And by so doing, all the fees that these corresponding banks would have to tag on, because each corresponding bank that is involved in the money transmitter process, in the money transmitter journey, they tag on their own fee on top of that, right?
Gotcha.
So that is where blockchain becomes much more interesting and much more become more viable and also a better alternative to the regular MTO pay rail that it's been used for many, many years before the advent of blockchain. Because now all those money that you are saving that the corresponding banks have to tag along, you can save that money, that can become a savings that you now pass on to your customers, right? So that instead of having this fee, fees and charges that have to be paid, you can eliminate
Mhm.
all those charges, right? You can eliminate all those fees that have to be paid. And that make those payments to become more, that make that the transaction to become more affordable, right?
Gotcha.
So also bring in more inclusions, because now many people can afford, instead of you paying a lot of money in fees, you can now reduce that and pass that on to your customer, and that enable financial inclusion. So
And
there has been a trend. So the trend
Mhm.
around that is a lot of companies are embracing that and now
Okay.
seeing the value of blockchain and using blockchain as a mechanism for moving money around the globe. And that trend is going to continue, right? So because a lot of people have seen the advantage that blockchain actually brings to the table. They've seen the value of blockchain. And speed is also one key thing, right? So speed of delivery is very critical, right? So you want to deliver payment, you want to deliver on time for people that actually need the money, right? So blockchain bring that speed of delivery into the equation, and that is something that
I want to bring Mike into the conversation, right? Given he's also in this space as well. What, Mike, in your perspective, right? What do you also see as Misha has mentioned speed, for example, and some interesting other factors that is, allowing people to kind of embrace blockchain as a means for transaction. I'm just curious what you're also seeing in terms of the use. Why is blockchain becoming even more popular than before?
Yes, great question. And I would, these two gentlemen sitting here are far more blockchain expert than I. But from an operational angle, and I'm sure Shay will agree, everybody has a phone now, or virtually everybody does. And when you have a phone and you can bring those technological steps to the palm of your hand, where you used to have to go stand in line or get to catch a bus across town to get to a bank, all the layering that BC just described goes away. And the access, the speed, factor in the security of blockchain, and the transparency for your ledger tracking. It becomes a very, very compelling.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. It's all right. So yeah, I think if you can let your mind view the access people have now to the internet, and then if you can speed up those simple transactions like moving money from point to point, person to person, without the friction of banking institutions, or that would take days, if not weeks, to get money back and forth with the extraordinary cost tacked onto it. It makes it a very, very competitive or a compelling industry to get into. And that's not just person to person, that includes businesses to businesses. So your numbers you read off at the beginning are very powerful. They're in the billions. Those aren't millions. And if you just factor in just that the unbanked is a word we use in the industry. Those who didn't have access to giving money back and forth, now that they do, that's huge. That's a lifestyle changer.
And Shay, I want to bring you also into the conversation. Let's really focus on more like the impact of the technology itself. And Mike already set us on path to that already, in terms of how is it allowing inclusion or getting the unbanked to now start using financial services. Can you talk about some of the impact you're seeing in the industry, leveraging your blockchain as a whole, and how you think some of these impacts will evolve over the decade, or how you think the technology itself will also evolve over the decade?
Sure, I can, and I will give you a perfect example to illustrate the power. Two examples. The first one is I was recently in Nigeria a few months ago, and obviously I use our technology for my trip. So I went and I bought our token for myself, because we do one-to-one. So I paid my euros and got our EuroC. I used our system to send that EuroC and receive Naira to my bank account. And I happened to be there at the time just before the elections, where there was no cash. So the first part is, all of this didn't affect me. I basically had money, literally as we just described, on my phone to the bank account, got my SMS, was able to do everything else. Now, here's the other sort of second part of my example, where there was this woman selling bread, and I wanted to buy bread just outside the building. Yeah. So I got them to call her. And of course, there was no money. So again, what did I do? She was able to just give me her number, and I was able to send from my phone just outside the gate there money to her. She's selling loaves of bread, fresh bread. You know what they call it, Ghana bread. That soft one.
Yeah.
This woman is carrying everything on her head. She's not a super duper trader. She doesn't have a PDQ, but she has a phone. Yeah. I stood there, selected what I wanted to buy, and I sent her the funds, and her phone went ping ping. Everybody who visits knows what that sound is. It's called a credit alert. Yeah. The money arrived in her account, the transaction was complete, and it was seamless, minutes from me to send money to myself there and for me to pay someone there without even touching a single note. This is the power. And some of the services we're working on will make this even more easier, because you're able to send funds not just to a bank account. We can do mobile money top up. We can do credit. We can do voucher. We can do prepaid card top up. These are the kind of services that are coming up. So that last mile delivery, that ability to all of a sudden include someone who technically would find access to the financial system challenging is awesome. So that would be my input into that particular point. But I want to also highlight one completely separate thing before I leave you, or leave this point. The world in which we operate is actually already digital, but we are trying to manage it in an analog way. Your banks have systems, your banks are interconnected, your financial providers are interconnected, your mobile provider is interconnected, but we're trying to manage this in an analog way. Some people like to tout the notion that everything will become obsolete. Nobody needs banks, nobody needs this. No, this will not happen. What we are working on is an evolution. We are making the thing that's already digital, that we're trying to manage in an analog way. We're going to manage it in a more digital way. And it's why, regardless of what anyone says, every major bank or player has a little piece of a project they're doing investigating blockchain technology, because we accept this. We just need to get there. But you need real world examples, real world use cases. So when you recount the story I told before, it makes sense to someone that, yeah, I get it. That, this is what I would add.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's very powerful illustrations to actually share. I do have experiences like this, where I'm trying to send money to folks. But again, thanks to Orokii recently, it's been really seamless, I would say, for sure. I want to also, have this conversation on artificial intelligence. I feel like we cannot move past beyond some of this particular section without really talking on AI and some of its impact on the financial technology space, right? Especially with regards to blockchain as a whole, right? How are you seeing the advent? I mean, AI, is becoming very trendy these days. How are you seeing that also impact or shape how you're thinking about fintech, and how how that is also shaping your interaction with blockchain? I mean, even your entire project on its own, but how are you seeing some of those impact? BC or anyone can actually just chime in. It'd be nice to just hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, so I think AI is definitely gonna be having some impact in how the fintech, especially the financial industry, operates. Prior to that, there are a lot of robot advisory, what they call unmanned advisory, that is provided by the financial services, right? Where they can tailor asset management, right? So instead of you actually having conversation with an individual, you can just send questions to that robot advisory bot, and it can give you advice on what kind of assets you are supposed to be buying, or information about asset. but with specific to money remittances. Currently, Orokii is exploring how we can use AI as part of our development work. But I see a situation where down the road, you can have things like a speech to text, where instead of you actually typing anything, you can just use AI to say, send money to Apology, right? And then, the AI will now take over and then do all the things that you're supposed to do without having to even touch or press any button.
Okay.
I see that as a powerful next phase in terms of how to actually deploy AI in the financial arena. And I would think in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll start seeing, solution or services that will be available to do that. We are exploring how we can take advantage of AI within our development platform to make our service more seamless and more accessible, using the power of AI to power some of the things that we do internally. But I think ultimately we will be able to see a situation where all you need to do is just to dictate to the, to your phone and say, send money to Abulaji, and then we'll figure out how much money do you need to send, and it will become more conversational, like a prompt. How much money do you want me to send to Abulaji? Send you $200. Okay, done.
Okay. In as much as that sounds exciting, actually, I see a lot of fears. Because now I could be under duress and somebody say, hey, tell your app to send me money under duress. It's like, so I'm just curious. Also, and again, Shay and anyone, please feel free to also chime in this conversation. What are some of the challenges you're seeing with AI even coming into the picture now? Or even challenges with blockchain? Right? What are the potential challenges you're seeing that are shaping the industry? Now, there's an AI question and there's a blockchain question, which is the challenges you're seeing with AI, right? And then also some of the challenges you're seeing with blockchain in the space. I'm curious, Shay, what are your thoughts on AI in your space?
AI is a tricky one for me. Technologically, from a technology perspective, wonderful. It will, like BC said, you can see that this will come. There'll be more of this integrated into everything. So naturally, it will also include blockchain technology. I'll try to just touch on the areas that, let's say, the relevant areas. There's, let's say, the simple side where AI type logic and features are introduced. That's what BC was talking about with being able to dictate things and have voice recognition and other sorts of intelligent things happen within a system where the program itself is learning and adapting. This is, let's say, the low-hanging fruit. There's the power of analytics, and the blockchain generates a great deal of data. The ability to read, understand that data, and form processes and decisions on the basis of that data is probably the stronger lure. And then, yes, there are some things we should also be aware of. At that point, we're full on Skynet. Yeah, we are talking about a situation where the machines are able to actually predict and decide independently of what is best. Those boundaries will be tested for sure. Yeah. So those are the sort of things I think we need to think about. Will it happen? Yes. I can't say that it won't happen because there are cost savings, there's efficiency, there's usability, there's data which makes it commercially enables a commercial incentive to develop these products. The more I know about a user, the more I predict what he's going to do even before he knows what he's going to do. It means I can have the product ready for him when he gets there. This is entirely possible. But I will leave you with one little anecdote. There is a company that has elected an artificial intelligence as its CEO. Literally, they've put it put a structure and a face around it. And this CEO, based on business information, the data of the business, et cetera, is actually live making decisions. Google it.
Okay. Okay, it's coming. It's coming for our jobs, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. One might argue that,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
one could argue that, yes.
yeah, but again, that could also be an exaggeration because ultimately the
I think
human,
this is extreme. This is
yes,
extreme, but the logic is, or the concept or the idea is, wherever we can, we will see more innovation. I think that is a very extreme example, but it
mm-hmm.
just shows you the extent to which some people have faith in this.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Shay, for helping us again. I want to bring this conversation to some of the project that you all are doing, right? With BC and Mike, for example, Orokii. And you guys are really doing some really interesting work in terms of Orokii, for example, being able to make transactions 3 times faster and cheaper than most of your competitors, Orokii and BC. I would, I like to see your current product, Orokii, as almost that platform that combines the power of both, the leading US peer-to-peer platforms like maybe the Zelle, Venmo, and even your international remittance powerhouses, like the likes of maybe World Remit, Sendwave, and all, right, into one comprehensive app, right? And that's what I see you guys have been able to do. You've been able to allow local domestic US transactions and even international remittance transactions. This I would really love you to talk more about, what it is Orokii, you're building with Orokii, why you think this is important, and then we'll then move to Shay afterwards. But basically, can you just share, and Mike, feel free to hop in the conversation, so please.
Right. So one of the value that we bring to the table is the fact that we pride ourselves for being cost effective and then make our transaction more affordable. And recently, we're actually going on a new approach where we want to eliminate all fees that we have on our platform right now to even make it even more affordable, right? So that means the transaction fee and the platform fee that we currently have on our platform, we're gonna eliminate those fees. And there will be no fees. There will be no fees for you to conduct any kind of transaction on our platform anymore, right? So, and the only way we will be making money will be just through the FX margin that we'll make, right? So that will be the only way that we'll be making money, and that will make it more affordable. And not only that, that will also make us even more competitive, right? So that is what we are doing right now. And in terms of how we differentiate ourselves from the likes of the Venmo, the Wise, and all those other entities, the fact that you can do two things on our platform separate us from, app like Venmo and Wise, right? So they only do one thing. On our platform, you are able to do domestic transaction, and you can also do cross-border transaction. And not only that, today, as we speak now, we support over we support over 70 countries, right? Meaning that using the Orokii app, we can send money to over 70 different countries in the globe, right? So for a company that just started about 2 years ago, that actually launched its application about 8 months ago, that is significant, right? That is definitely very, very significant. We've seen folks that's been around for more than 5 years or 10 years, and they have not been able to make that much. So we make our platform more accessible and being able to reach far more regions of the globe than what most other competitors are able to do. So that is one of those key things that we bring. And we also talk about speed earlier on, right? So one of the key differentiators that we have is when you send money on the Orokii platform, our recipients get their money in a matter of seconds, not minutes or days. And that's a key differentiator, right? So as soon as I hit send, in the next few seconds, the recipient will get their money, whether they're in Nigeria, they're in the Philippines, they're in India, or wherever they may be. So that's a key differentiator as well, too. And that is what we are taking to market. Yeah, so.
Shay, I know you're really doing amazing work with my cover. I really want you to, tell our audience, what is my cover, what is, I mean, you guys are the issuer of the euro, of stable coin, right?
Yes,
And that's
yes.
massive. I don't know how you've been able to conjure all that together, but please just share with our audience what is this beautiful thing, the beautiful project you're working on, please.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have not done it alone. We've done it in partnership with our partners, including Orokii. We're also a young company, just over a year. Essentially, what we do is we connect the European financial infrastructure to the blockchain. We do two main things. The first thing that we do is we provide a way for you to get onto the chain, as in making a deposit. So you're going from your euros to EuroC, our token, or you're going from our token EuroC to euro. So we call this is, think of it more like a deposit and a withdrawal, because that's what it is. But what we tend to call this is an on-ramp. An on-ramp is the process of putting money on or taking money off. So in actual fact, when you start talking blockchain, we're right at the beginning of the journey. Yeah? We allow you to turn your dollars, your euros, well, for us specifically, it's your euros, into a digital asset. Yeah, or to convert your digital asset, which is our token, into money. The reason we obviously use a stable coin is because it's pegged one-to-one with a fiat currency, and that way you do not you're not subject to volatility in terms of the price. So if it's €1 when you start, it's €1 when you end. Yeah, €1 at the end. The second part of what we do is the actual cross-border capability. Like Orokii mentioned, we have corridors into Africa, into Asia, to America, into Latin America as well. So this means that we're able to service partners who need to move money quickly and cheaper for a variety of reasons. So that's pretty much what we do. And it's quite an exciting time to be doing this, because the nature of work in itself has even also changed, and the nature of who sends money or who's receiving money in terms of international remittances have changed. There's so many people who are either living in Europe in the diaspora that are sending money back, but there are other flows. There are people who are sending money to pay for their own school fees because they're spending the next year studying, or they want to buy a house, or they want to, or they need to repatriate funds, or sometimes they need to pay employees who are in a different country. Those transaction flows have become quite dynamic. Around 68 billion is sent from Europe to emerging economies annually. This is a lot of money. And this represents an opportunity for also connecting. We spoke about financial inclusion before. We have a partner we're working with that they effectively are doing what we would have called shared services. Everybody locally is banding together with their money, and then he's giving it to him, he's making the transactions, yeah, which allow money to come to somebody who's here. And alternatively, when somebody's sending money back, it's not just him sending it to one person. It's almost like it goes in a lump sum, and they're able to pay out to different people. These are people, sometimes they're farmers. This is to allow them to be able to get what they've grown to a location where it can be shipped so that they can get paid. So it's again that financial inclusion, but not just because you're deprived and I'm saying give me a bank account to send me money so me too I can be part of the world. It's because I'm literally, I want to sell my products. I'm now able to sell my what I'm growing here internationally in an easier way. I'm actually connected, because the person who he's competing with before was somebody who sets up all of this, has a company, comes, and he has no sight on this, so he gets less because he still needs to consider all of his costs to ship the, all of the costs involved in him getting that produce out into the market in another country. There are different touch points where this technology and what companies like Orokii and MyCobo are doing are actually impacting the lives of people in a way that is quite constructive and was actually difficult to do before. And but it's hard. We're right at the beginning of this journey. We're almost trying to set the standard and create this new paradigm. It's hard work.
Yeah, I mean, it's really appreciate, the work you all do. Like I mentioned, I think is really impactful. But even just beyond just, developing countries, I would like to talk about, how you're also seeing, blockchain technology and even some of the work you're doing, right? On the aspect of trade and investment, right? Orokii can talk from the aspect of US Africa trade and investment and how you think blockchain or even Orokii, for example, can play a big part of that. Africa, for example, is creating a lot of initiatives, right? To ensure easy flow of transactions, right? Also attract investment from from abroad. So I would love to talk about that US Africa trade and investment opportunity. Leveraging your solution, and then Shay, I would also like you to also touch on something similar, right? How are you leveraging your product, your platform, to ensure other global trade? Maybe it's Europe, in Europe now, for example. How are you allowing that to happen, leveraging your tools, or what do you even see as the future of this, for example?
Right. So I think one way that we've seen the blockchain to enable more seamless trade across different regions, including Africa or even LATAM countries or any part of the globe, for instance, is our B2B offering, right? So we enable businesses to use our platform to be able to pay invoices in other regions, right? So you can use our platform to pay invoices if you have invoices to pay in other countries. If you have employees that are overseas and you need to pay them, you can use our platform to facilitate that, right? So that if you have expatriates that are working, outside your location and you need to pay them, if you want them to get their money in a very efficient and fast manner at a much reduced costs, you can enable that very quickly. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes we have to refund our accounts, right? And there's no mechanism to do that rather than sending wire transfer. Every time you send a wire transfer from one place to, you know how much it costs you. For the same amount of money that I will send to do a wire transfer, the bank will charge you a minimum of $25 or $30, right? If we were to use Orokii to do that, it probably cost you for about the same money. It would probably cost you less than $3 or $5 to do the same thing. That's significant savings, and that is huge, right? If you have to do that multiple times in a month, that could add up very quickly, right? So that could be a significant savings that businesses can save by using solutions like Orokii to be able to do that type of transaction cross-border. So that is one way. We're also exploring an option with a partner right now, where on our platform, you can actually be able to use, not only send money to other part of regions where you want to send money to, but where this partner is actually operating, where they are operating, you can, at the same time while you are sending money, but also buy assets or different type of financial assets right on our platform, right? So we are working on a partner to develop that capability. So you are not only sending money, but you are also able to invest your money in all those other regions, right? So like you can buy mutual fund, bond, other financial asset that you might be able to buy that you can do that on the same platform where you used to transfer money from. So that is another way that you can leverage blockchain and leverage our platform to be able to do this type of investment, right? Financial investment, not only by sending money, but also buying different assets in those regions. So there are different ways. The good thing about blockchain is it's expand a whole bunch of horizon. It's provide a whole different opportunities that were not existing before, or it was very difficult to do before, right? It just opened this new aperture, and this new windows of opportunity is something that we are all tapping it right now, and we are just getting started, right? So there are so many of these opportunities down the road that we are all thinking about and how we can leverage the power of blockchain to do all these nifty things around the globe. So, like I said, we are just getting started. There are so many things that you can use blockchain to do.
It's pretty exciting, actually. To really think about how the potential of blockchain to be able to open up economies, right? And I'd just love to hear from Sheyi to, how you're making, in terms of trade and investment, right? Either from the Euro to Africa, trade and investment opportunities. How are you seeing that?
Well, a little like Busy said, there's obviously the USP of what it is we do, which is, cost and time. So this helps businesses when they're making these decisions. But I will give an example. We have a client. They are one of Europe's largest buyers of catalytic converters from around the world. So they're buying from different regions of the world, but the person who's receiving money, let's say a deal's been agreed for 1,000 euros, it's in euros. That person, maybe they're in, Argentina or something, or Kenya or wherever, it could be in Africa. The equivalent is what they're expecting to get, but they only receive the equivalent of, let's say, instead of 2,000, they receive 1,500, 1,600. But using our service, they're getting closer to that 2,000 value. So that is literally trade, because that equipment is shipped, they get money, that's going into the economies locally. And it's gone from being a challenging problem to having a nice, simple solution. This is the impact. You actually promote not just the actual payment itself, but the trade in those particular corridors, because it trickles down. Him having the money means he can put it into whatever else he's doing, which is feeding that economy. It's feeding the European economy because they're buying raw materials which have been recycled to do other things with. It boosts trade, absolutely. I think we need to think of it less as in about blockchain technology per se, and think more about the impact, what this technology actually enables. It enables trade. It enables money to move from A to B as quickly and efficiently as possible, which means other things happen, more trade, more business, more opportunities. And I think this is the message that we would like to share and we want to echo.
Still on Sheyi. How are you seeing? Obviously you're a startup yourself. And you're rapidly growing. What does the future look like for you? As an entrepreneur, as a company, in this space, really.
Wow. Okay. I'll tell you what I see.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is what I would like to have happen. I would like to keep growing. I would like to see us having more corridors, having more partners, and creating more of. One of the reasons that we partner with this is because they're focused on the US market. We're focused on the European market. So we would want to see more of that with all the other regions, because the more of us that there are, the easier it becomes, and the wider our reach. I think Swift's probably been around, maybe 50, existing methods have been around for 50, 60 years. It's taken a long time to see what we're used to. It's going to take probably maybe half or a quarter of that time to the next 10, 20 years to really see the impact. And that impact is not going to look like we think it will today. At least I don't think so. It isn't going to be because there are more blockchain technology and because everybody's blockchain savvy. What I think you will see is services will change, and people won't even realize that some of the services they're consuming are being powered by blockchain technology.
And I think we're seeing that already.
Yes, yeah. I think we will continue to see this. It'll be. This is our goal. We want to. This is actually our ultimate goal. We want to abstract as much of the blockchain component away. So from Mr. A who wants to send money from A to B. He just has the ability to do that, and he doesn't need to think about how it's happening, whose token, what's this or what's that. He can just do it in a seamless way, probably using the voice commands BC mentioned. but yes, we need those kind of things. We need it to be real simple. So, you know, it also removes, let's say, that extra step of having to consider, oh, is this safe? It's just there.
Mm, mm. You know, thank you so much, Shay. I want to I want to ask the same question of BC. And you know, given the work that you're doing as well, right? What does the future look like for Orokii? And yeah, I also want to bring in Mike. You know, once you after answer this question, Mike, I would like Mike to talk about some of the things you're currently doing in terms of fundraising, actually too. So, BC, let's hear what the future of Orokii.
Right. Just like she mentioned, right? So we want to see Orokii grow, and we believe that we are on the growth path right now. We want to see expansion of our services. We want to bring in more customer to the platform and democratize the whole money remittance space, right? That is one beauty of blockchain as well too, is providing democratization, right? Enabling everyone to be able to participate in this economy, not only in P2P, but also in B2B as well too, right? So we want to see growth. We want to see us becoming a major player. We want to become I want Orokii to be used in every major area in terms of exchanging, you know, using Orokii to make payment and also to be able to do other things. So that is where we envision Orokii to be in the next few years. We want to be able to partner with different big players in the market to be their partner, and also to be able to use even Orokii to make payments, you know, online and in retail stores. We want to expand into utility at hometowns and cities, right, where we can actually use Orokii to pay utility bills and all those kind of things. So that is where we see we will be expanding into, and we think our growth will be start materializing from those spaces.
Yes, and I do see a question. We'll get to the question in a few minutes. But Mike, I want to bring you into the conversation too. You know, I know you guys are currently raising about $1 million, right? And I just love you to touch on a little bit on that. You know, what is the $1 million gonna be used for example? You know, how are you seeing the fundraising? You know, and you know, what's the ask, for example, from audience?
Yeah. Fair question, and I'm going to defer that back to BC as my founder, right? Because he's the man who's really filled them up. But I wanted, if I could touch on something just briefly that both of these gentlemen were talking about. And the word I'm going to use is equity, not equity in a business ownership piece, but equitable, like across the populations, right? And I think both of these batches of technology bring equitable opportunity to people who need money. It's not fair for the lady selling bread to have to go stand in line at her bank for 8 hours to get money that may or may not be there. It's absolutely fair that because she has a phone, she should be able to pass and send money as easily as people who drive big cars and live and work in big glassy office buildings, right? So, I mean, most of our lives, I suspect everybody in this room comes from a position of looking out after the little person, sticking up for somebody who might be oppressed, downtrodden, or just not have things balanced. And that leads to my next sort of example is if you look at these large calamities that are going on across, like the Turkey earthquake that happened a few months ago, this is an ideal opportunity for people to have money so they can absolutely take care of themselves and their families and or organizations that are bringing in aid. I mean, that's just like a broad example, but when infrastructure collapses, the ability to bring stability through being able to provide for yourself and your family probably restores a fair amount of like confidence that you might get through this okay. And that might be pie in the sky. But I think when you look at social sort of moral compasses, we really, both these companies see that benefit. And it's hard to ignore because people suffer from it. that's war torn, that's tsunamis, it's earthquakes, it's whatever badness happens. This is a way to help people get out of it, in addition to getting every single penny or euro cent that they get from the work they're putting in without having to bleed it off to banks and other institutions. You put your hard work in, you're sending money home, you're doing the right thing. Why should we be losing money to strap on opportunities there? So, I was going on with both what both these gentlemen were talking about. It was very, very easy for me to say, oh man, in addition to just a very addressable market that's in the billions, this is a way to sort of harmonize problems when people are just in immense amounts of stress. So, but thanks for letting me get in my moral box. But on the fundraising piece, I do want to defer to BC because he has got all the ins and outs of that, and I'll support him on anything he needs me to answer. But he's the man on that one.
All right. So BC, real quick, I know we got just like 6 minutes, but please go ahead.
Yeah, so we are currently doing crowdfunding on WeFunder right now. We are raising about 1.2 million on crowdfunding. It's been going very good so far. We still want more investors. What we want to use the fund for is to scale our operation essentially, right? To drive revenue growth and use it for sales and marketing, bring in more additional engineers, and then be able to fund our liquidity pool so that we have sufficient funds to service all our customer requests and all. So those are the key things that we want to use the fund for. But we are still in the fundraising mode right now. And if you go to wefunder.com/Orokii, that is our campaign is live there. And we are still looking for more investors to join that and invest in the company, right? So that's
and thank you so much. And you have a question from Mara Mohud. And she's asking, like, how much does it cost to set up a stable coin?
It's ongoing. Like Orokii, we are also going through a funding round. We are currently raising a Series A of around 5 million euros. So the short answer to the question is it's expensive. It costs a lot. We've bootstrapped for the longest possible, and we've had support from various sources. But as we grow, you actually need funds to manage growth, and we're growing very rapidly. And you can't do this without having funds. It's an expensive business for all sorts of reasons. Yeah. However, in the long run, it provides a key service that makes it a worthwhile investment, to put it plainly. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in it, not necessarily because we're in it just for the money, but it's a business, so it has to be commercially viable. And if it wasn't, neither us nor the people who supported us, both in terms of the blockchain and others, would not have done so. Yeah. That potential is why we're all in this business, and the potential is there.
Look like Apology might be having some network issues there. See, it looks like it's frozen. Okay.
Any questions from anybody, maybe, while we're waiting for him?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you hear me, BC?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You are frozen momentarily.
I'm sorry about that. I think it's just the network. But again, I just want to I didn't totally hear the last response, but I know we're pretty short on time.
Oh, I think he's frozen again. I just wanted to ask if Mira can confirm that my answer, I was able to answer her question.
Okay. I think she says thank you, actually.
Yeah.
I can't. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad I was able to answer your question.
Okay, so I just want to take the time to say thank you. We are short on time. It's been a lovely conversation. really just listening to all you do, and really the interesting, not just interesting, the really impactful work that you do as a company, right? Just beyond, leveraging technology, but really touching lives, right? And like Mike rightfully put it, equity, right? Really just driving home equity, the matter of equity, in general. So I just want to say thank you all for the privilege of your time. I want to thank our audience for joining into this conversation. It's just been lovely hearing you all. Before we end up, I just want to give you all a just one word, or something, a departing word that you would like to leave with our audience. Let's start with Mike, and then BC, and then Mike, Shay, and then we end with BC.
Well, thank you for having this forum. I think it's wonderful. And I think we're in violent agreement with each other about the good that this type of work can do. So I thank you for having us on. And oh, by the way, make sure your wife gets a lot of sleep as a newborn parent. All right. You stay up and do the midnight feeding so she has a block of time.
Thank you so much. Shay, what about you?
Utility. Blockchain gives utility. This is what people need to focus on, the actual things you can do, what you can use it for. Thank you very much for having me. It's been really quite an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. BC, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abolaji, for hosting this event. We really appreciate that. I think there's no question about the power and the democratization that blockchain network can bring to the public, and we want to definitely embrace it. And we see a lot of utility, just like she mentioned in this. We want to continue to innovate around it, because innovation is the key thing, right? So you innovate or die, as you always see, right? So
yes,
that is the key. And thanks very much for organizing this. We really appreciate it. And we thanks all our audience as well too. And thanks for the question that they asked. So we hope to do this again. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all again. Again, we are TAN TV. We're a media platform that caters to the African and Black multicultural diaspora here in the United States. You can find us on www.tantvstudios.com. For you to connect with Orokii, please check out their website, www.orokii.com. And also my Kobo is mykobo.com, right?
.co.
.co, sorry, I believe. mykobo.co. Thank you again for the privilege of the time. See you all again in a few days.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.